What is up? What is up, guys? We got another review going on, and I am, of course, reviewing House of Dragons. Just because that's one of my favorite Game of Thrones, one of my favorite shows of all time, and this is slowly becoming possibly up there with it because the quality. Just love these episodes in this show so far going on. We've only got one more to go. We got the finale coming up next week. Definitely will be covering that as well. But yeah, man, look, there's some stuff that happens at the very end of the last episode. We basically saw the king dying and everything else, had the tear coming from his eye and all that stuff, which that happens. And the beginning of this episode, unlike almost every other episode in here, like I said, I didn't mind the time jumps because I am glad we got the story of the king, how, what kind of life he led and everything else, and all these other people, like as they were born and stuff like that, and kind of got the timeline of it. So I'm kind of glad they did the jumps personally. I know they had to get to something for this season to culminate in and stuff like that. And we know it definitely isn't going to be the end of the Dance of Dragons, like they're just going to get into the beginning of the Dance of Dragons and everything else. So I'm glad they did all that. But in this episode, it was really nice to see that, well, the king dies, at night in his bed. And these guys, what happens right afterwards? Because like the queen finds out, obviously, all this stuff, and a lot of other people find out and everything else. But with that being said, like straight off the bat, the queen, she's woken up. She's told the king is dead. She's like, "Are you serious? Like, did it really happen?" And they're like, "Yeah, of course, we've seen it. The king is dead." So they have to immediately go into the small council because they call everybody to the small council room to be able to have discussions about stuff. And the queen gets blindsided with the fact that this group of people called the Green Council, I guess you could say, because if you didn't know, her side is going to be labeled as the Greens, and then obviously, Daemon and Rhaenyra is going to be called the Blacks and everything else, and that's going to be the squabble between the Greens and the Blacks. This is called the Green Council because like they had basically already everyone except for one person on this council pretty much had already set up plans whenever the king dies, so that they could go ahead and move one of Alicent's sons, obviously Aegon, the oldest one, into the kingship. So they'd already had plans on the back channels. Obviously, this one guy, he didn't understand that, or he didn't get that. He was kind of pissed off about it, actually, because he didn't stand for that kind of stuff, called it treason, and he loved the king and wanted to go by the king's wishes. Kristen Cole over here on the right-hand side of this picture is the one. He's, he walks over there, slams his head on the table, and kills him, okay? Just kills his ass. I mean, come on, dog. Come on, man. Do we have to really do you got to go to that, Christian Cole? I mean, come on, dude. Like, come on, man. Like, it was already bad enough. He slammed his head on the table. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if he actually killed him on purpose or whatever. I think it was just kind of byproduct of the fact that he's like super strong, and especially stronger than this old man, and just slams his head down, and it hits his like balls. Like if you see on the table, they got their little balls in a little plate that they put in there, I guess, to signify to start the meeting. And his head kind of gets caved in right there, right on the temple. Killed his ass. Now, during that scene, right afterwards, we had this man right here stand up and told Christian Cole to lay down his sword and all this. And because, like, what he did was not right. He should not have done that. And Christian Cole kind of stands up to him a little bit. This guy right here, he's the leader of the King's Guard, obviously. And a little time passes. The queen speaks up. Everybody kind of is quiet. There's some things, some more planning. And this guy, he's kind of sick to his stomach, dude. Like he takes off his white cape or whatever you want to call it, cloak, and he puts it on the table and basically retires and said, I'm supposed to be here to defend the king. But if there is no king, then there's no reason for me to be here. So he hops right out, bro. He hops out. I got to give people props because one thing about the Game of Thrones is there's not a lot of people with honor, and he's one of the people with honor. And the one thing about this is like Game of Thrones, I think the reason why people love the Game of Thrones is because like at point in times, like Game of Thrones makes you feel uncomfortable about what you're seeing. And we'll get into that with another situation that happens later on in the show. But like with that being said, it's kind of like people that love horror genre and stuff like that, right? Like you love the horror genre. That kind of makes some people uncomfortable. They get a little scared, and everything else. So like some people love to get into that situation and everything else. So like they love this, and people love drama. Like, even if it's not in the scary sense, like just the tension, the drama. And this episode had tension from the very beginning. Like, the little boy goes and tells like someone working in the kitchen basically that, hey, like the king's dead, and then like it just moves on from there. There's just a lot of tension going on. Well, whenever they do all this, they make these plans. The first order of business is to get Aegon. They need to get Aegon. And one of the things that happens is Alicent and her father, Otto, are kind of at odds. Like, who's going to get Aegon first? Because, like, hey, whoever controls the king controls the country, basically. So controls Westeros. So basically, whoever can get him first, maybe they can plant their seeds and have him like do the things that they want him to do and that kind of thing, and kind of take control. And what happens is Alicent, no, not Alicent, but Otto sends the two twins here, Eric and Aeric. I know that could be like kind of crazy. One starts with the E, one starts with the A, but they're actually twins if you didn't know that. And they were both on the king's guard. They get sent to find Aegon for Otto. And at the same time, you had, my man Aemon over here doing the same with Christian Cole. So Christian Cole and Aemon's out there searching for Aegon at the same time. So it's like a race to see who can get to him first. They're looking through the slums and everything else to try to find Aegon to make him king and everything for a coronation and all that. But yeah, so she, like I said, the queen sends her boys. Otto, the Hand, sends his boys. But like I said, these two guys right here, the thing about them is they're twins and everything else. They're working together at the moment, but later on, as you see go through the thing, one of them doesn't believe Aegon should be king. And as this episode unfolds, you see more and more of his example of why Aegon shouldn't be king, womanizing and doing all that stuff and not even really caring to be a king and everything else. So he kind of turns away and he's like, nah, dog. So like later in the episode, he turns away and he kind of like turns his back on the Greens. It looks like he's going to side with the Blacks because they also had Rhaenyra stuck in and she was there still because of the thing that happened in the last episode, and they lock her into her room and stuff like that. So she doesn't like that very much either. But moving on, we had the queen. She's still like the word part. The thing about Alicent is like you see like she's making mistakes, she's doing bad things and being part of bad things, but at the same time she's being like man, dude, like she still like she had love for the king. I feel like she really did care for him. I don't think this was like a bunch of bull crap or whatever. I think I don't think it was a facade. I think she actually cared for the king, grew to love the king over the years and everything else, even though he was falling apart physically and stuff. Like, I think she still respected that the king was still like a good person and stuff like that. And they call Viserys in this one like Viserys the Peaceful, which I think is a good name from him. It doesn't come from the books or anything. It was something they added in the show, but I thought that was really great because like even though he made bad decisions sometimes, or maybe he should have showed more attention to certain things and stuff while he was king, he still like had a pretty peaceful he led them in a pretty peaceful time and stuff like that. Like, and he was trying to keep everything cool. He doesn't want to get no wars and fight and everything else. But like I said, you see the queen here with her dead husband, like kind of like looking over him. And, like I said, I think she really did care for the king. And I think she's really not wanting to get into a war. Now, the action she's taken is kind of like crapping on that, to be honest with you, because of the fact that like, yo, do you know what's going to happen? Like, Rhaenyra and Daemon's not just going to sit back and let you take the throne like that, like backhanded and everything else. So they finally find the Aegon to make him king. Here's all the people walking in to the big, sept here. Rhaenyra, man, some of these names are so close. I wish Game of Thrones could not just please have some different style names, but Rhaenyra, the queen that never was, basically, she's in this pile being forced to basically walk in this direction because of the miles of people. She couldn't force herself through there. So she ends up being in the room during this coronation right here and everything. But I thought that was pretty cool moment. But like right before that, this is the part that is like some people's going to find uncomfortable. And this is one of the things I was talking about when I said like Game of Thrones is made to make you feel uncomfortable at times and everything else. Because like, see this far away shot right here. Okay. You kind of get it. yeah, maybe even a little grossed out by it a little bit. Like she's obviously showing him her feet so that he'll give more information and everything. Because this dude, come on, man, Laura Strong is a piece of garbage. But the thing about this is like this far away shot's not as bad, even though it can still make some people sick to their stomach and everything. Like it's one of those deals to where far away, it's not that big of a deal. But when they do close-ups of her feet, like at certain parts of this scene, and they do a close-up of her face, and she's kind of trying to look away, and like you see like what he's doing. Oh God, boy. God, man, come on, bro. Like I get it, like your foot's fucked up, but you ain't got to be doing that, man. You ain't got to be doing that while looking at somebody's feet in the same room, dude. Look, I thought Quentin Tarantino like filmed this episode, to be honest with you. I had to go back and look and make sure it wasn't him that did it. But yeah, man, it's one of those things like it wants to make you uncomfortable because some people want that. Like I said earlier, that's why people go and see scary or horror movies or even dramas. You want to get that tension. You want to feel that uncomfortableness. And that's one of the things that makes this right here uncomfortable. You see the power dynamics. You see like just kind of, you know, whatever, man. It's just, dude, like I said, as the camera was panned out, it wasn't as bad, but as it got close in there, but I was like, ooh, even I was like, ooh, God, okay, whatever. But let's agree because of that scene right there that these two guys right here are basically pieces of shit. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. Otto, for the way that he kind of forced his daughter into marriage with the king, and now it's putting her in a very dangerous situation. And we'll talk about that in the very end a little bit. But also this piece of crap, this Strong that killed some of his own family members killed, whatever, just to make himself stronger. And God, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Come on, dog. You went a little too far, Laura Strong. Went a little too far with that. But anyway, we have the grand coronation and everything else. This is what the actual crown looks like. So you saw it earlier, like filled with gold. Now I don't know if that's the same one, or maybe they just make another one. They have a mold, and then like maybe this king gets to fashion it however he wants to. I guess that's probably how it is, which is kind of cool. But that's what it looks like without the gold and everything on it, which I thought was pretty cool. That's why I pulled up this picture. But we have the coronation of the king. It's real fancy and everything. And the people, man, the people ain't nothing but sheep, bro. They ain't nothing but sheep. They just all start cheering. They know the king and what the king said. They know what the king mandated and what the king wanted. He wanted his daughter to be queen after he passes away. He wanted it passed down to Rhaenyra. But then like, nah, dog, like these people just be like, oh, wait, I guess they just told us this, and we're going to believe this lady that her son happens to be the one that the king on his dying deathbed, like trying to say like needs to be king or whatever. And it's like, bro, shut the hell up, guys. So because that crowd was kind of pissing me off, and like because of how the fact they just believe whatever and cheer for whatever, I loved it when my girl came in on her dragon. So like I said, she was at the ceremony. She saw a little bit of it. She was able to sneak out, get down to the dragon pits, get her dragon, and come back. She comes flying into the room, busting it open, killing people left and right. The dragon was stomping on folks, hitting it with his tail, knocking them into walls and everything else. And man, dude, like this is an amazing scene right here where she does that right there. And man, just like her dragon, the intimidation, the head looking down on Alicent and the new king and everything else. And you're like, oh man, one bit of flame can come down and kill them all. And some people actually have a problem with this scene because of the fact that she doesn't just light them on fire. You light them on fire, you've got it, you win. But here goes the thing that I want people to think about right here is because of the fact that I actually like this scene, because of the fact that like Alicent didn't kill. She could have been killed. She was trapped. She was trapped in her own room. They had her locked up and everything before one of the Eric boys shows up and like kind of gets her out of there and everything. But like they didn't kill her, and they could have. They had like whatever they wanted to do. They could have just killed her. Alicent basically spared her life and everything else by not having her killed. And with that being said, I think this is the moment where she comes down. She shows a little bit of her power. She shows the fact that I could have burnt you all alive just to say, Alicent, we're even. The next time I get my dragon around you, I will not hold back. This is to pay you back for not having my head chopped off right off the bat whenever the king died and me still being at the Red Keep. And this is her saying, listen, there you go. That's why the dragon does like a thing where it looks like it's going to blow fire, but it doesn't. It just kind of roars at them, in a real menacing way. And I actually like the part that's where she's like, listen, me paying you back, life for a life kind of deal. You didn't take mine. I'm not taking yours, even though I had the opportunity, but I'll be back, because that dragon starts to fly off and we know it's going to Dragonstone. We know it's going to be, the things are going to be said and done with Damon and stuff, which, by the way, I thought it was a pretty big gamble to like have this episode all be at the Red Keep, and you didn't even see Damon and them the whole episode. You didn't see Rhaenyra's part, the blacks, at all, period, pretty much. Like, you saw some people that tried to like support them, like one gets hanged for it because they have pieces of crap and everything else, bunch of wussies. But like, the thing is, with it all being broke down, is like, I actually think that was an interesting choice because you don't have that side, period. But I think we'll probably, not obviously, we're going to get their side of the tale this next episode in the finale, and then it's going to culminate in some kind of action. I don't know who's going to be fighting who. I don't know who's dying. Probably should set a little thing where people can bet on who they think is going to die in the next episode, because they will be death. There will be blood, because you can't have blood with, you can't have blood and fire without the blood. So we're going to see that. And we're probably going to see some dragons live and battle in a little bit. We'll see what's up with that aspect, how long the episode's going to be. I'm also interested on the runtime for the last final episode. But yeah, dude, this show has been super exciting. This episode was really super good. Could cut the tension with a knife through the whole thing. And the tension was there even when they were just walking around Flea Bottom trying to find Aegon. So, like, really enjoyed it. Really loved it. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Please, if you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel, man. We cover a lot of stuff. We try to just cover stuff and have fun. And we want to have interactions with you guys, and have you just tell us, what you thought and everything else. I comment on everything that gets commented out there, and I see you guys comment, and thank you for the ones that do it all the time. Shout out to Greg, shout out to like people like Matt Munoz that does it a pretty good amount as well on a lot of our content. And just thank you guys for being there, and thank you guys for watching. And until next time, peace.